Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second annual Global Goddess Fest, a week-long virtual festival to inspire, activate, and connect female leaders, creatives, and entrepreneurs worldwide. So today we have Lauren Love here, tuning in from California. Thank you so much for being here.
Yay! Thank you for having me, Rae. I'm super
Of
excited to be
course.
here.
Of course. So, Lauren and I met just pretty recently, a few months ago, at an event, and just instantly became soul sisters and got to step in immediately in inspiring each other and motivating each other to kind of just keep pushing our boundaries of what we think is possible. So I'm so excited to have you here and to share more about your story with all of the viewers. But for everyone that's listening, Lauren Love is the creator of the Create a Six-Figure Business from Soul Blueprint, which is a six-step proven formula that helps heart-centered entrepreneurs get out of their own way so that way they can learn the strategies and skills they need to take their soul-aligned business to the next level. Really powerful work that she's doing. And over the last 7 years, she's coached hundreds and thousands of people online to break free of their old stories, to create lives that have fulfillment and freedom and this alignment. And so now she's been working with successful high achievers who want to embrace that high vision for themselves and just jump in. So yeah, I want to jump in with you and hear more about your story and how you came to this place of really like talking about alignment and flow with money and value and serving. So yeah, maybe you can just share a little bit about your story to get us started.
For sure. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Rae. I'm so grateful that we met and just connected as soul sisters. And I feel so honored to be here and share a little bit about my story because I've been doing this work for a long time. I've been empowering women and being more of a transformational empowerment coach for the last eight years. And it didn't start out this way. It definitely didn't start out where now I'm teaching about creating six-figure business from soul and money and all of this stuff, but it didn't start out that way. I personally have had so many of my own struggles, and that's what got me into wanting to share and give back. And to go all the way back, about 10, 12 years ago, I struggled with severe eating disorders, anorexia, bulimia, PTSD. I had so much trauma and depression, anxiety. And I really, really struggled with those things for a long time. But what got me into doing what I do is I went through a process, as we all do, if we're on a soul alignment journey, where we go through that dark night of the soul. And when I came out the other side, I realized that I needed to share my message with other people and I needed to give back. And I actually volunteered at a nonprofit organization. I started mentoring women in recovery. And that really changed my life. I didn't really know how valuable my story was until I actually started sharing it with other people and started to see those women's lives just magically transform just by me showing up, just by me having that conversation with them every week, or just texting and just being in their lives, just inspiring them and empowering them, just sharing my own experience of saying, hey, I know what you've been through. Like, I've been there and you can do this too. And so I did that for about a year before I realized like what I have to share is so valuable and I want to do it for a business. Like, so that's where my business journey really began. It began from that place of soul alignment, really getting connected with my purpose and why I'm here on this planet. Because I've had several experiences in my life where I almost died. And it was like, I came back for a reason and I came back to figure out what that was. And by sharing that with others, it just lit that fire within me. And I found my soul purpose, my soul calling. And so I built a business based on that. So that's kind of how the evolution of my journey went. And that was 8 years ago. So there's been a lot, a lot that's happened in just growing that business and getting to the place where I am now.
Mm.
So
Thank you so much for sharing. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful to be able to hear where you came from. And I think a lot of successful women that have started these really soul aligned businesses came from a place of kind of this like self-destruction and not really sure, why does this keep happening to me? And then kind of getting to this bottom point of like, all right, I'm giving everything up. Like I just have to fully trust and release control and step into what I'm here to do. So
Mhm.
I just honor you for doing that and going through that journey and sharing that with us here.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I think it definitely is. We all struggle with the same kind of things that are underneath. And that's really what I found is that like I hated myself. I didn't feel like I was worthy. I didn't feel like I was good enough or skinny enough or pretty enough, all those things. And when I started to do this work, I started to find that that was that common thread that we all shared. And that became my mission to tell women like you are worthy, you are enough, you can follow your dreams, you can do whatever it is that you put your heart and soul and mind to. You just have to believe in yourself. And that was the thing that I would tell women all the time in the beginning is like you don't even have to believe. I will believe in you until you believe in yourself, because we need sisterhood, we need other people to believe in us and to believe in our dreams, to tell us that yes, what you want is possible. And in those early days of my coaching, it was you can recover from your eating disorder. And now it's you can create an amazing business in life doing what you love, that's totally soul aligned, that feels so good and in alignment with who you are. And you can make an abundant income doing that. So my story has evolved, right? I'm not doing the eating disorder coaching anymore, but the message is still the same. It's still, I did this and I'm no different. Like there's no difference between me and anyone watching. I'm just a girl who came from nothing. I was broke. I was, struggling with these eating disorders. And, that's like a serious, I mean, I was seriously very, very sick for a long time and did so much deep soul work on myself. And I think that if anyone is on the line or listening that is on that journey of where they are struggling, there is the light at the end of the tunnel, and that there is that there is the wisdom. I always look at the wisdom and the things that we need to learn from our experiences. We have to pull those gems of wisdom out of the pain and use them to help us transform.
Mm, totally. And what I'm hearing as you're speaking is a lot about like this storytelling and being able to inspire each other through really sharing our stories and not being ashamed of where we've been. Um, and so did you have people in your life, maybe while you were more in the trenches of the darkness that were sharing their stories to be able to inspire you and like, maybe if you could speak on that a bit, because I know sometimes there's pieces of our stories. I did this for a while. A few years ago, I got into a major car accident, and that was my lowest low and changed my life. And for a long time, I was like, yeah, it was just a car accident, blah, blah, blah. I left out the whole part of like substance abuse and this whole made like the thing, of the story. And so it's been a cycle of really realigning myself with what happened and kind of going through a healing process to then be able to share what really went down.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would love to hear your ideas and viewpoint on that.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great question, and, it is so important, like, when we're doing this work to really start to own our stories. And what I hear you saying, Ray, is, like, there were parts of what you went through that were really scary or shameful to start to own. But when we do start to own our stories, that's where we start to really come into our boldness and our truth and really start to love and accept who we are. So the beginning of my business, when I started to share my story, it was the scariest thing that I ever did in my life. It was like, why am I doing this? Why am I sharing my story on the internet with complete strangers? Like, who's gonna want to hear this? But I knew that was what I had meant. That was what I was meant to be doing. That was what I was being called to do. So I just started to answer your question, I started to seek out others who had done what I wanted to do. And I started to look for those people that I could model, or I could follow, or I could just really gain some of their like strength in looking at, oh, well, they did it. And so I want to do something similar. So I had a few people that I called on their guidance and started to really harness that in my own life. So what I started to do is just show up and share from the heart. And one of my biggest pieces for anyone who wants to write or blog, because I built a business based on blogging and YouTubing. Like that's all I did in the beginning, was just start to write. And my biggest piece of advice that I always still live by is write until you make your own self cry.
Mm,
And just writing from
wow.
that place where you're just like, okay, here's my story, here's where I've been, and just really looking at it not from that victim standpoint where it's like, why is this happening and this sucks, and we don't want to be sharing anything around like holding the problem in place, or feeding or fueling those limiting stories. We want to look at like, what did I learn from it? How am I growing from it? And so I started to write from that place, almost like coming from my future self and looking back and being like, what are all those lessons that I'm learning now from that wiser part of me? And just writing those stories from the heart, and like really reaching in. One of my mentors always says that she always writes to reach in and grab people by the soul. And so that's what I do, and sharing vulnerably in that place of just being like, this is who I am, this is what I've been through, and this is what makes me who I am today. And there's nothing that I need to be ashamed of in sharing that, even though that's the scariest fucking thing to do. Excuse me, I don't know if I'm supposed to say here, but even like, that's the scariest thing, isn't it, to just own those parts of us that we judge ourselves for so much.
Yeah, and then once we can own them, then it's so much easier to share it and kind of allow and give permission to everyone else to also own their own lives and what they've gone through. So I love this so much. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective on it, and
Mhm.
um, yeah, really challenging everyone that's watching. Like I, I'm gonna take on this challenge, and I invite any viewer to also do the same, to like write until I cry. Like I love that idea, and I think when I think about it,
Mhm.
there are times where that has happened, and it's like such a therapeutic release, and also does connect with so many people, and
Mhm.
the right people that are like looking for my medicine. And so I love that as almost like an exercise that we can all do. So thank you for that.
Yes, you're so
Yeah,
welcome. Yeah.
totally. And so I wanted to just share with our viewers, you have a free gift that you're offering, which is the Create a Business from Soul workbook. Do you want to
Mhm.
say a few things about it?
Yeah, of course. So I created this workbook just for women who are in the beginning of their journey, or even if you have an existing business and you want to get really connected with those aligned values, or whatever it is that you are working on birthing forth from you. So the workbook is designed to just help you get clear on some of those things that'll help you get aligned with that business that's in your soul, because that is why we're here. So that you can harness, like, I really believe that we're all here for a reason, and that we can utilize our unique soul gifts to create an abundant income doing what we love. It's just our job to be courageous enough to follow our dreams,
Mm.
to be able to create that in the
Yes,
world, because
yes.
the world needs your medicine. The world
Mhm.
needs what you have to offer, and your story is valuable. And if I can share anything around that and just being who I am, I built a business based on exactly who I am and what I've been through. And I'm here to show other people how to do the same, that you don't need to be any different. There's nothing you need to do. There's no certifications you need to get or qualifications that you have to have. Just you being you is enough. And that is what I believe that our world needs the most of, is just more women owning their stories and being who they are and sharing that with the world.
Yeah, totally. So if you're watching, we're calling you out right now, and we want you to share your story. Maybe go do a blog, go do a Facebook post, go journal to yourself, write a letter, do something that's going to express and share your story, and maybe something that's going to be a little bit scary. So definitely go do that. Send us an email once you do and let us know how it goes. Thank you so much, Lauren, for being on here.
Thank
And
you, Rae.
we will see you all soon on the next video.
Sounds good. Thanks.